Joey Racano with the California Ocean Outfall Group, and we are a 501c3 operating statewide in California dedicated to ending all waivers of the Clean Water Act. And we were quoted in one of your local papers today as saying that when the environmental community doesn't oppose breaches of the Clean Water Act, then who is left to defend the ocean? Well, the rest of the state's environmental groups are. And that is why I step up to the plate here today. I am in San Diego specifically to stop your waiver. And that waiver will go down, and it will go crashing down like all the rest have. You are the last waiver in California. You dump the dirtiest sewage in the... You have a series of marine protected areas being implemented as we speak in your area. That means the state is not with you. You have the Ocean Protection Council, Governor Schwarzenegger's OPC. They specifically chastised Morro Bay and had a lot to do with getting rid of that waiver. They're against waivers. You have a federal mandate against you. The Obama administration, as I spoke earlier, is coming on strong, and they've said the Clean Water Act is king. Now let's look at what we're talking about here with secondary treatment. There are those who said it is not the magic bullet. Well, that's true, but it happens to be the law. And in fact, the full secondary treatment of sewage was the minimum required 35 years ago. You are recalcitrant. Secondary treatment, contrary to popular belief, is not part of the Clean Water Act. It doesn't bring you into compliance. It merely brings you around compliance. There are dangers lurking nearby. Endocrine disruptors are created when you try to disinfect less than secondarily treated sewage. Organic matter reacts chemically with disinfectant. These wreak havoc with the reproductive systems of animals. Like at the LA Pier, they found fish with both male and female characteristics. There's no escaping these realities. If a waiver was okay, why would you be the last? The science, they say, is in and the world is flat. However, it's the same old science. Let's look at the benthic creatures. You know what benthic creatures are? Those are creatures that can't move away. But that's a flim-flam. Don't look at the creatures that can't move away. Look at the creatures that can move away. They have. They've moved away. Now, the reality of the situation here is they're going to make a deal on the basis of saying that some of that discharge is going to get redirected for recycling, etc. However, we also heard testimony here today, expert testimony, that showed you that the impurities would be directed back to the outfall. So that means that we may decrease a bit of the volume that's going into the ocean at Point Loma, but we're going to be increasing the concentration of impurities. Now, dumping into Cabrillo National Monument is a national disgrace. 200 million gallons a day and probably more. It's not a steady dump. That people don't understand that. It's a whoosh in the morning when people go to work, and when they come home at night, it's another whoosh. The impacts on the ocean are unmistakable. You don't let cattle into a corral and let them out of a corral into a big valley and then try to count them and do studies. You count them as they go in, and then when cost is a factor, costs can be controlled because, number one, it costs the same amount to do it wrong as it does to do it right. And number two, a system of source control goes a long way. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And there are other ways. A regional full tertiary system with a water reuse component makes you qualified for help with monies. Now, I urge you to turn your back on this waiver like everyone else has. It's time to get with the program. The coast of California is not a cheap dumping ground for the detritus of society. There are better ways of dealing with our sewage than with looking at the ocean as a giant garbage pail.
Thank you.
In conclusion, Mr. Wright, I would say this. I would say there's a saying that surfers have. Never turn your back on the ocean. Well, unfortunately, it seems like the environmental community has done just that here in San Diego.
Okay, obviously I agree with most of this stuff from Joey Racano. I would point out that San Diego has special problems and needs federal help because of the South Bay Ocean outfall, that is the sewage from Tijuana, which empties also into the bay, and because San Diego has not been provident. They are the last ones to postpone dealing with the sewage. In 1972, the federal government provided money, and the San Diego passed that by along with Orange County. And so it's a big shock when they have to realize eventually they have to comply with the law.